Well, a new mysterious attack ad is online right now, and it goes after Governor Sarah Palin hard, claiming to speak for the young girls and the women of this nation. Take a look.
Why shouldn't my little sister get to learn how to protect herself from strangers?
Sarah, don't tell me what books I can read. You're not my mom. I don't want people to have automatic guns. Please don't undo everything they fought for.
Why does God want us to die in Iraq?
Sarah, why do your ideas about sex and creation have to be mine?
Women in Alaska get raped over twice as much as women in the rest of the country. And yet as governor, you did nothing to stop it.
Don't you care about violence against girls and women?
So it's not clear who is behind the ad, but the question we have this morning is it true? And is it a good idea to be using these young girls? Joining us now, GOP consultant Andrea Tantaros and Democratic consultant Julia Piscitelli, who is with us, but we're going to show her in 2 seconds. Hang tight. Okay, so Andrea, let me ask you, this thing is making its way around online. We tried to find out who was behind it and couldn't find anybody claiming responsibility. And the website we found it on said they don't know who was behind it. They just saw it posted. What's your reaction to it?
Well, it's disturbing on so many different levels. First of all, I'm not sure many mothers would put their daughter, or many mothers with good judgment, would put their daughters in an internet ad smearing a vice presidential candidate. I mean, another level, Megan, this ad is just blatantly false. Sarah Palin has not tried to ban books. Sarah Palin has increased funding, for domestic violence issues in Alaska. Sarah Palin has a son in Iraq who's fighting. This ad is a blatant smear, and it speaks volumes that the person who created this ad doesn't have the courage to stand up and back it because they know it's a smear and they know it's blatantly false.
But Julia, you look online at the people who have commented on this thing, and one assumes that they lean left, but they are talking about how powerful it is, about what an impact it made on them. Whatever you may think of it, it appears to be having somewhat of an effect.
Absolutely, and that is exactly what you want a good ad to do, is have a big impact on the audience that you're trying to reach, which they have, which are people who, they're not trying to reach necessarily people who are Republicans, they're trying to reach people who are independents and might have some concerns about Sarah Palin, and it's a very powerful ad, and I thought it was appropriate. It's not running on TV, it's running on the internet, and you have very young women talking about what their mothers fought for.
Women?
And talking about...
These are girls, Julia. These are young kids. This is not a good ad. I mean, the fact that you said it was a good ad before, this is a false ad.
So respond to that, though, Julia, because that's the point. Is you've got kids, they look as young as 5 years old in there.
They are.
Spewing this propaganda.
Young children. They are young children talking about what their mothers fought for, what their grandmothers fought for, and they want to make sure women's rights aren't taken away, and they see Sarah Palin as a threat to that.
Julia, but let me ask you this.
5-year-old?
Let me ask you this, Julia, and then I'll get you to weigh in, Andrea. How about having your little 5-year-old child get up there and say, Governor Palin, why does God want our soldiers to die in Iraq? You think that's okay?
I think that it's a fair statement, considering some of the statements that Sarah Palin has made and some of the videos that we've seen her make in church, that going to war in Iraq was, something that God said we should do.
That's false. That's blatantly,
Go ahead, Andrea.
That's blatantly misleading, Julia. The fact that you call this a good ad.
Let Andrea weigh in.
Yes, it is. Julia, the fact that you refer to this as a good ad, this is not a good ad. This ad is a smear. We know that Governor Palin is pro-life, and a lot of feminists have an issue with this. She has exercised her right to choose, and her right to choose is life. She has not used her personal positions to legislate that in Alaska, and she wouldn't do it as vice president. And, just putting out 5-year-olds that can't speak for themselves. I mean, these are clearly their mothers are whispering their ear, goes to the judgment of the mothers, it goes to the judgment of the people that are praising this ad, and it goes to your judgment of someone who thinks this is a positive message for young girls.
Well, I really don't think a personal smear on my judgment, Andrea, is really the appropriate way to talk about this ad. It is a good ad. It's an effective ad. It's an effective advertisement, and that is just the way that things are played in politics.
Julia, let me
Andrea,
ask you.
I'm sure you know.
Let me challenge you on the one that I asked you about, Julia, because this why does God want our soldiers to die in Iraq? That's not what Sarah Palin said. She said she was hoping that we were doing God's will in Iraq, that our plan that we've come up with as a government is consistent with God's plan. But just to ask you about this, Sarah Palin's got a son who is fighting in Iraq.
Yes.
To have a little 5-year-old girl, but to have a little 5-year-old girl come out there, don't you have a problem with using our children to spew this kind of vitriol?
I think that we use children are used in other ads. They're used in Monster.com ads. It's not unusual. They're not all 5 years old. There's some young girls in this ad who are talking about things that their mothers have talked to them about, just as we tell them they should talk to their children about what kind of decisions people are going to be making for them and for their future, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
This is very different from Monster.com, Julia. Monster.com is a job search engine. This is a blatant political smear using kids.
So they're using children to sell something in the corporate world. You know, it's not an unheard of thing in advertising to have children.
Got to go, ladies, but appreciate it as always. Very spirited debate, and we want to, Andrea and Julia, thanks so much, and we want to get your thoughts on it. So please send us an email, americasnewsroom@foxnews.com. Is this a fair